Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast focusing on e-commerce topics featuring interviews with prominent people in the e-commerce space.
This is E-Commerce Conversations by Practical E-Commerce. I'm Kerry Murdoch. Many e-commerce merchants sell products from large manufacturers and suppliers. Increasingly, those manufacturers and suppliers also sell those same products. There's a company, Shopatron, that refers sales from manufacturers' e-commerce sites to retailers to fulfill the orders to customers and to profit from the sale. The CEO and founder of Shopatron is Ed Stevens, and he joins us today. Well, Ed, thank you for your time today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Ed, we're here to talk about your company, Shopatron, for which you're the CEO and founder. Tell us a little bit about Shopatron before we get started with the products that you offer, the e-commerce products. Would you give us a little background, such as when it was founded, generally what do you do, who owns it, where are you located, that sort of thing?
Well, I started the company in September of 2000. We launched in August of 2001. It was a bootstrapped business. We've obviously been operating now for about 10 years. I'm the largest owner, but there are a group of owners. We had brought in some outside capital in 2004 and 2007.
So your solutions, generally describe your solutions. You have it's an innovative solution set that you have there, linking manufacturers and retailers. If I could describe it that way, could you describe generally what the niche that your e-commerce solutions serve?
Yes. Well, I noticed 10 years ago that a lot of manufacturers had traffic at their websites, significant amount of traffic because of their marketing activities. And the traffic that goes through a manufacturer website is serious about shopping. They're looking at products. And the best way to convert them into a sale is to put up a shopping cart and offer the product right where the customer is. It's more efficient from a number of clicks standpoint, and also the customer is very familiar with the manufacturer's brand, so they're comfortable in purchasing. But the problem is that a lot of manufacturers, sell a few percent through their website, or that might be the potential of it, and the rest they sell through distributors and dealers. And when a manufacturer goes into e-commerce and selling at their website, then in a very real way, they're competing with their own retailers. And so I felt like there was an opportunity to give manufacturers a shopping cart at their website, but then engage the retailers as e-commerce partners and order fulfillment partners. So an order that's taken at the manufacturer's website through the manufacturer's shopping cart is actually directed through Shopatron's Confident Order Exchange. It's directed to a nearby retailer or a stocking retailer who can fulfill the order to the customer. And that alleviates the channel conflict. It partners rather than competes with retailers.
And that assumes, of course, that manufacturer, sort of state the obvious here, but that manufacturer is using the Shopatron cart to sell those products.
Well, they don't have to use our cart. We do have clients who have plugins to their cart. We can plug in and run the checkout only to a custom coded front end. We interface with Market Live. We interface with Magento. OS Commerce custom carts. So they don't have to run our shopping cart per se, but they would definitely use our order management system, which is the piece after the order is taken, and the confident order exchange piece that manages the fulfillment is core to all of our clients.
Okay. Name a major brand that our listeners would recognize that is a manufacturer that uses your system.
Suzuki motorcycles?
For an example here, so a customer goes to the Suzuki motorcycle site and orders a motorcycle.
Well, they'll order parts, not a full motorcycle. So they'll go there and they'll see what maybe they own a 2003 DR650 and they're looking for a handlebar replacement or a new headlight or some kind of accessory for it. So they go to the site, they see that part, and then they can buy it right at the Suzuki website.
So how does Suzuki know where to send that order, either a physical pickup or a fulfillment partner, which an e-commerce merchant could do?
That is a great question, because when I first had the idea of integrating retailers as order fulfillment partners, everybody said to me, Ed, how are you going to know what all these retailers have in stock, especially the small ones? And I said, well, actually, let me think about that. So I went and I invented the Confident Order Exchange, which we call Coex Freedom. And this is a system where at the time the order is placed by the consumer, Shopatron and Suzuki don't actually know which retailer is going to fulfill it yet. We just take the order knowing that there are a lot of Suzuki retailers out there and a lot of inventory. And we post the order in the exchange right on a web page. And then all of the Suzuki retailers have a fair opportunity to go to Shopatron's order exchange and tell us whether or not they can fulfill that particular order. We give them all a fair amount of time to do it, and once per day, we pick the retailer who is best suited to fulfill it. Usually the closest, but also could be carrying the correct inventory and a few other things. We charge the card, and then we tell the retailer to ship it, or we arrange for in-store pickup, and then we settle with the retailer later. So if no Suzuki retailer can fulfill the order, then it may fall back to a designated warehouse, what we call a backup fulfiller, and that's often the manufacturer themselves or a big distributor of theirs.
In this example, to continue this example, the customer that goes to Suzuki's site to buy parts, can the customer designate at the site whether they want physical pickup or whether they prefer it shipped to their home?
Yes.
Yes,
they
okay,
can.
That's interesting. What's in it for the retailer? Does the retailer make normal margins off that particular example, off that sale?
They do. They normally make bigger margins because the manufacturer's website can command the highest price of any website. Typically, the pricing coming through the manufacturer's website will be higher because that convenience we're talking about that the consumer is experiencing does command a higher price. Obviously, if a consumer goes out and shops on Google Shopping or something, that's going to be a different deal. But for convenience customers, typically the price of the product will be pretty good, and at that point, the retailer is making a sale at that price, minus Shopatron's processing costs.
Our listeners, by and large, Ed, are e-commerce merchants. Many of them are pure-play e-commerce merchants, and they use a variety of shopping carts. They use hosted carts, licensed carts. I suspect some of them may use your cart, Shopatron's cart. For those listeners, say a listener is using the Yahoo cart, to pick an example, how do they make themselves or include themselves in your program? If they're working with major manufacturers, how can they get involved there?
Well, they would go to Shopatron.com and get an account. They would get approved. Usually takes about a week or two to get approved because we do have to make sure that everyone there is is a valid retailer, and that requires some verification. Once they have an account, which is free, and there's no sign-up cost or any kind of monthly cost, then they're able to go look into the order exchange for their industry and see what orders are available for them. So it can be done through a web interface or through an automated API. If it's a larger pure-play retailer, they may be more interested in programming it rather than going to a web interface. But either through API or a web interface, they can go and tell us which orders they want to fulfill, and we'll resolve them to that retailer in addition to the rest of them. So it's quite easy for them to, I guess I call that multi-homing, where they're probably selling stuff on eBay, they're selling stuff on buy.com, and they can also sell stuff on Shopatron. The only difference is on eBay and Amazon and buy.com, the retailers have to actually go through a listing process. They have to put the products in and commit to that, in a sense, right? Whereas with Shopatron, they don't ever have to list anything because the manufacturers are listing the products on their own websites, and the orders just flow through into the order exchange, and the retailers merely say whether or not they want the order. It's simpler.
So a retailer that does not have an API, the retailer would check, is a matter of checking the interface that you described earlier at Shopatron, like say on a daily basis or hourly basis, or how does that?
Yeah, they usually check about once a day, and we also have email alerts to assist with making it so they don't have to check every single order in the whole country.
So if I'm a retailer, if I'm an e-commerce retailer, or perhaps I have a physical location, and I sell major brands on my site, is there a reason not to do that? Is there a reason not to participate in your program?
Laziness? I think it's, or just fatigue. I think it's a no-brainer because besides fulfilling orders, which is a nice thing, you also get to see what's selling. So by going into the order exchange and reviewing the orders from Suzuki, if you are a retailer of motorcycles or a retailer of motorcycle parts, it might just be interesting to you to know what is moving on that manufacturer's website. And that gets really exciting when you start to look at industries where Shopatron has very extreme penetration, like in the toy industry, specialty toy industry. We have most of the major specialty toy manufacturers on Shopatron. I'm not talking about Hasbro or Mattel, who are mass merchant type, Walmart distribution, but I'm talking about the likes of Melissa and Doug or International Playthings or Alex Toys. These types of companies sell to your small educational type toy stores. And, we probably have 140 merchants, manufacturers in that market. And so if you're a small independent toy store, pure play or brick and mortar or both, you are able to log in and literally in one place see what's happening in that market because the flow of the orders, and if you're watching in October what's starting to move, you can still get your orders placed before the shipments close out before the holidays, and that just allows you to sell more on your own business, right? Because a lot of things that retailers need to know is what's moving out there, and not just fulfill an order or two from Shopatron. So I always tell retailers if you don't feel like doing another website, with Shopatron, you should at least get a free account and go look and see what's selling.
So you alluded earlier, Ed, to the process of choosing which retailer either fulfills that order or provides the physical pickup facilities for an order. How does that work?
Well, it depends a little bit on the type of the order. So if we take the most common type of order, which is an order that the customer has said, ship to my home, that can come from anywhere, right? Doesn't matter where it comes from to the customer, as long as it gets there fast and in good condition. So in those cases, we post that order into the order exchange. Retailers all have a fair opportunity to put their flag on it and tell us whether or not they want it. And then we will resolve that order to the closest retailer to the customer so that the shipment time is the fastest. If they have more than one location or warehouse, then we take that into account as well. And there can be some other adjustments for customer service, performance. If there's an issue where the retailer has been a little bit slow in fulfillment for us, we might take that into account as well. But by and large, it's just if you're the closest.
What about size of a retailer? What if you have a mammoth retailer in your program and a small mom and pop in your program? Can the mom and pop compete?
Yeah, because the only thing that they have to have is the product. So if they're closer and they've got the product in stock, they're going to get it.
Okay. I asked you earlier in my first question. I asked you some background questions on Shopatron. One of which was where the company is located, and I didn't give you time to respond to that question. I apologize, but where are you guys located?
We're in San Luis Obispo, California,
all right,
which is halfway between Los Angeles and San Francisco.
Okay. We have just a couple of minutes left. Our listeners, again, are e-commerce merchants, mainly smaller e-commerce merchants. Anything else on your mind for them today, Ed, as it involves Shopatron or e-commerce generally?
Well, the one thing that I would like to say is for any of your audience who operates brick and mortar stores, and they have maybe 3 to 50 stores, Shopatron does offer e-commerce, and we offer an order exchange, which we call COEX Private, and it's an order management and order exchange system for just that retailer's own stores. That works really well for franchise groups. Like we work with Wild Birds Unlimited, who has 300 stores, integrating fulfillment from all 300. And we also work with, for example, Sport Chalet in Southern California. So we do have a sophisticated order management system for dealing with in-store pickup, dealing with shipping from stores to customers' homes, and all the logistics around that. And I think that's important for your audience to know because this same kind of capability that makes it possible for Suzuki to connect with 1,000 locations also is very cost-effective and simple for a retailer to use managing fulfillment from their own brick-and-mortar stores. It wouldn't really be applicable to pure-play online retailers, but it would be applicable to anyone who has like 3 to 50 brick-and-mortar stores.
And what is that product called that you just described?
That product's called COEX Private.
All right, you just said that.
So it's our private order exchange for retailers' own websites.
And that's on your Shopatron site for listeners interested.
It is.
Yeah, okay.
It's just $1,990 setup fee and $99 a month, and that includes the shopping cart. So it's a very attractively priced product for small retailers who want to manage fulfillment for multiple stores. And we're happy to have that offering as well. It's relatively new for us. We've only been doing that for about 2 years, whereas the manufacturer piece is something we've been doing since our founding 10 years ago.
Okay. Well, for purposes of our listeners, we've been visiting with Ed Stevens. Ed is the founder and CEO of Shopatron. That website is shopatron.com, an innovative e-commerce solution that links manufacturers with retailers. As Ed just described, there's an interesting solution for brick-and-mortar merchants that have more than one location. Again, that site is shopatron.com. And Ed Stevens, we want to thank you for your time today, sir.
Thanks very much, Gary.
That's all the time we have for this week's e-commerce conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tune in next week for another new episode.